Hi there, good afternoon. You're watching the Mutual Fund Corner. I'm Mangla Malu. With me is Ekta Batra. This is a show where we answer all your mutual fund related queries. Important for a day like today where the markets have been fairly wobbly. The Nifty currently, at current reckoning, 60 points away from the highs of the day and 60 points away from the lows of the day. And individual stocks, they are taking a pummeling. Titan, case in point, at the lower end of today's trading range, while there was a fair amount of volatility in Bajaj Finance over the last couple of trading sessions. Hi Ekta, good afternoon.
Hi Manglam, yes absolutely. Well, there is some amount of a pullback which is taking place for the market, so that's definitely a positive as compared to the day's low, which stood at around 11,461 for the Nifty. But nonetheless, we have given up from the day's high as well, so just about lower by around 37 odd points for the Nifty and 95 odd points for the Sensex. So you can say that there was definitely a sell on any sort of higher levels that we saw in today's trade. But let's take you through all of the top stories that we're tracking at this point, and then we'll get answering all of your MF questions. First up, choppy session of trade. Heavyweight Reliance, L&T and Bajaj Finance lend support, but HDFC and Titan continue to weigh on frontline indices. TCS trades weak ahead of numbers.
Titan takes it on the chin after the management says their jewelry segment, which contributes the bulk of its revenue, 80%, has grown by a mere 13% in the first quarter. News sours the sentiment for other consumption stocks too.
Bajaj Finance, on the other hand, surges from the lows after the company releases a Q1 update. Loan growth seen at the best in 11 quarters. Assets under management register an over 40% growth year on year.
Delhi High Court refuses to allow Naresh Goyal to travel overseas after the Ministry of Corporate Affairs terms Jet a case of financial fraud amounting to 18,000 crores, directs Goyal to furnish guarantee to travel.
Chief Economic Advisor K. Subramaniam defends the government's decision to conduct foreign borrowing in dollars, while former RBI Governor Rangarajan says it's not a prudent move given the high deficits currently. Okay, so those are the top stories that we're tracking. But joining us today, we have Hemant Rastagi of Wise Invest Advisors to answer all of your mutual fund queries. Hemant, welcome to the show. But before we get talking and before we get started, just a quick check on the mutual fund flows in June. Remember, the data came out last evening. AMFI data shows a jump in the headline equity data, which has surged to over 7,500 crores compared to under 5,000 crores last month. Liquid funds, though, registered their biggest outflow ever, along predicted lines at the quarter ending, something which would normalize going forward given the graded exit loads being introduced by market regulator SEBI. Apart from this, outflows continue to be seen in the balanced and credit risk fund categories, a trend we've been seeing for some months now.
All right, and in the equity basket itself, investors are favoring the multi-cap and the large cap categories compared to the previous month. The exuberance on mid-caps and small caps seem to have tempered a bit. The SIPs, they seem to be holding up, but the argument can be made that just a slight bit of nick has been registered for the second month running now, but experts say it shouldn't be a case for worry or a cause for worry. Overall assets under management have also moderated a bit in no small amount due to the big outflow seen from the liquid funds this month, but barring that, the growth seems to be steady. All in all, a good month. So with that, we have a query coming in. Divyanshu Gautam, he calls us from Pune. Divyanshu, go ahead.
Yeah, hi team.
Hi.
Actually, I'm planning to invest in mutual funds, basically for tax saving, and it is about 5,000 per month. So one of my friend actually advised me for DSP Tax Saver and Myre Tax Saver fund. So are these funds are good for at least for 5 years timeline? And the second question is like, is it a good time to invest in mutual funds?
All right. So first question I'll ask you first. Is it a good time to invest in mutual funds given the sort of volatility that there is in the markets? Some would say this is the best time as any. And the funds that he's mentioned, are they good enough for tax saving?
Well, I think there are a couple of important things there. One, he's looking to invest in basically tax saving options. So I believe that ELSS is one of the best options. One, because there's only a lock-in period of 3 years, which is the shortest among all the options which are eligible for investment under Section 80C. Second thing is that you not only save tax, you also get an opportunity to participate in the growth of the equity market. So clearly, ELSS is a great option. Whether it's a right time or not, look, if you're going to be investing every month, I don't think really need to worry about where the markets are today, because you're going to be investing over the years, so which will help you in terms of averaging, and you'll avoid committing too much money at one particular level. So I think you can start investing right now. The fund that you mentioned, both the funds are good, but I think my preference would be that if you have to look at one fund, Mirai Asset Tax Saver, you should begin with that. I think that's a good quality fund. And once you decide to increase amount, maybe you can add one more, but to begin with, one fund should be good enough.
Okay, all right. So one fund should be good enough. So we have another query though. Ravindra MK writes to us from Bangalore. He has investments in multiple funds and wants to assess his portfolio. He's around 37 years old. He has a monthly SIP of 5,000 rupees on the following funds, which should come up for you as well. Hemant, what would you recommend?
Well, if you look at this investment which is being made, they're all plans of unit-linked insurance plans. He's investing around 5,000 in each one of them, which is roughly 30,000. He's also investing on a half-yearly basis, again, which are Bajaj Allianz ULIP. And there is one ETF, which is Nifty Next 50. My view is that if you're investing so much money, obviously I'm assuming that you're investing for the long term because you're investing in equity. I still feel that mutual funds are a much better option because they give you flexibility, you can get better return, there are more choices available to you. And I don't think tax saving is also an option because you're investing 30,000 per month, whereas under Section 80C you get only 1,50,000. So if that is the key, then you can look at ELSS. We talked about a couple of ELSS funds already. Definitely mutual fund would be a better option. And in ETF, currently, if you are looking at, maybe look at something Nifty 50 rather than looking at Next 50, because I think you will see a lot of volatility going forward in that segment.
All right, Hemant, hold on to that view. Meanwhile, we're getting some news coming in on ABB India, where the board has approved the sale of their solar inverter business to an Italian company, Fimer SPA. A couple of details that we require for this one. The price, the consideration at which they are looking at this sale, and secondly, the importance of this solar inverter business to the in the overall scheme of ABB India. Remember, the company has done this, of course, to manage their portfolio, the systematic strengthening and streamlining of their portfolio. So a couple of details is something that we require. Seems like the street likes that. The stock was higher by 4% all through today's trading session and now continues to maintain that up move. With that, we move on to another query. We have Pawan Kumar, who writes to us from Madhya Pradesh. He has investments across various funds, wants to build a corpus of 10 crore rupees in the next 30 years. So that's a rather long investment horizon that he has. And along with that, he's got investments in large cap, small cap, etc. So what would you suggest?
Well, I think the time horizon is 30 years. So clearly investing in equity fund and variety of equity funds is a great idea. But it's never a great idea to have too many funds because it's not mentioned the scheme name. We really don't know how many funds are there because over diversification doesn't really help you. It actually harms your portfolio in the long run. As far as the target is concerned, 10 crore, I think if I assume a return of 12% over the next 29 years, which is his time horizon, he should be able to create that corpus by investing 33,000 rupees per month. He's currently investing, I think, around 48,000. So I think in terms of reaching his corpus, I don't see a problem. But on the way, I think from here to the next 29, 30 years, there are going to be other goals. So my recommendation would be to also define those goals, assign a time horizon to each one of them and see how much money, because the additional money that you have, you can actually use it for those goals rather than investing aimlessly and hoping that you will create a large corpus.
Okay, well, just a quick word with regards to ABB. This particular deal with Fimer has taken place on a global level where they are selling their solar inverter business globally. So this would obviously trickle down onto the Indian unit as well. And the reason for them to do this is basically to focus on the core business portfolio in other growth markets. ABB globally is going to take a non-operational charge on account of this transaction, which is worth $430 million. Okay. So it'll be interesting to see whether there would be any sort of write-off or charge on account of this transaction in India as well. But nonetheless, it's a global kind of restructuring which has been announced by ABB in order to sell their solar inverter business to Fimer. And this is a part of that transaction. We'll take a break. We'll focus on some more mutual fund queries once we're back. Stay tuned.